Hey folks, my name is Pravus and welcome to a new 4X strategy game called Era: History Untold. Now I've had my eye on this game for a while and it did release as of last week. However, I had a chance to play this game a few weeks ago when Xbox Studios flew me out to Los Angeles just so I could try this game out. Unfortunately, when the game did release, I was a bit distracted by a few other titles that came out at the same time, but I would be remiss not to try this game out on the channel and show off what it has to offer because Era subverted my expectations in a very big way, and judging by the Steam reviews, I think I'm not the only one. At first glance, you're gonna look at a game like this and think, oh, okay, it's a Civ clone. But then you jump into it and you realize, oh no, this game is actually very, very different from Civ. In fact, it actually has more in common with games like Anno or Humankind. This is a very interesting blend for a 4X strategy game, and that's why I want to show it off. It's quite unique. So let's go ahead and get started with a new game. Now, from here, it might look like very much a Civ clone because you get to choose a leader and a civilization. And in a way, that's certainly true. Every civilization does have some sort of a special benefit, and every leader has a mix of personality traits, which are going to determine their playstyle. I'm going to go ahead and play as Nefertiti, though there are a few other interesting characters, and not all of them are the kind of leaders you would expect from history, like Copernicus, or an abbess over here, right? Some pretty interesting folks. But I think Nefertiti is going to be a very easy character to understand. Lots and lots of food means lots of growth and building tall. And here we go. Nefertiti, Queen of the Nile. You ascend amidst an era of unparalleled opportunity for Egypt, and a bit of extra flavor text. All right. Now, zooming out and taking a look at the world, you can see that this is broken up into many different regions. You might think this is like Humankind. I wouldn't say it's quite like that. It's more like the Civ hex system, but every region has a different shape and size, so it's kind of unique in and of itself. Let's go ahead and take our scout, and what I want to do is move over to an area where we have a equipment cache, because these are free resources. So I'm going to move over here. Now, as far as I know, every unit can only move one region at a time. There are some exceptions, and maybe in the late game, units move a lot faster. But at least for us, at the beginning of the game, we can only ever move one region per turn. Now, let's go to our city, because there's a lot to talk about here. First off, in the top left, we have a few resources like food and wealth, which are exactly what you would expect. We also have timber and materials. This is not the same as having production. That is down over here in the city overview, where you can see we are making 10 production per turn, and this determines how quickly we build things and train units up. These are resources. Resources that we will then refine and craft into new things in order to boost up our economy. Crafting is a huge part of this game, and in fact, there is a ton of production chains. Dozens and dozens of different resources and items you can craft in this game, and you'll want a lot of them. Knowing how to use that is key to victory. So if I go to my starting town hall over here, the Great Hearth, right now we are already crafting a feast. Now you can see what this is going to do by hovering over it. The UI is very informative in this game. As an amenity, it would get me extra growth, food, and happiness for 10 turns. An amenity can be spent over here, and you get more amenity slots the larger your city grows. So this is obviously very useful. However, we're only getting one of these every 50 turns. That is so slow, it's not useful. So instead what we can do is spend some of our resources, in this case some food, per turn in order to make this a 9-turn production. And then at that point, I can just keep this thing running as an amenity forever and get 5 food, which means it pays for itself and then some. So it's worth doing this very early on. There's also jewelry, which if we had things like precious metals or gems, we could start doing this and get some extra prosperity and happiness. What is that, by the way? Well, if you take a look over here at quality of life, this is the other thing you need to worry about in your cities, boosting up your happiness, your health, your knowledge, prosperity, and your security. The higher this is, generally speaking, the better your civilization is going to perform. There's more to talk about here, but I do want to make some progress in this game, so let's take a look at other things we could do. In our city, we can select a new project. Now, every region has a certain number of building slots in them, and it's not always the same. Some have only 2 slots, some have 5. Our capital region always starts with 5. I think I want to place down something like a workshop right away, and this is going to let me start getting some extra production towards buildings based on our industry improvements in the region, but we'll also be able to use this to start crafting things, like baskets, another type of amenity to get some extra city production, or tools, which can be used to boost up your crafting production for a lot of different buildings. If this seems like a lot, don't worry. Totally fine, we haven't even ended turn 1. Now before I continue, one really important thing you should know about: how to win the game. If I click up over here on my character, you can see our standing. This is based off of our prestige value, which is a scoring system. Every nation is going to try to get as much score as possible, and if I look over here at prestige, you can see the different categories where we can gain it. Military, commerce, government, religion, culture, science, industry, and impact. And the different personality types and bonuses for civs are going to change up which playstyle you really want to follow to get as much prestige out of different categories as possible. An aggressive civ, unsurprisingly, gets a lot of prestige by killing their neighbors, right? That kind of thing. Now, this is important not just to win the game by being in first place by the end, but also, if we scroll down here to the bottom, if we are in 7th or 8th place by the end of an act, I believe that's the end of the Iron Age, the bottom 2 players are forgotten. They are removed from the game. They are turned into barbarian ruins that other nations can then pillage and resettle for a lot of different bonuses. And as the game progresses, more and more players get removed. I think this is a really interesting system. I don't usually care much for score systems, but the fact that there is an elimination creates a different level of urgency. You don't want to be in the bottom place and then slingshot later on. You really need to make sure you maintain at least a certain minimum threshold and always be thinking, how can I get myself some more prestige? Now that we're moving on to turn 2, we have moved over here. We can go ahead and grab this cash next turn. You can see some more territory. We can also research some technology. Now we're starting off in the ancient history era, and there's a bunch of different technologies available. The first one I want to get really is going to be grain storage, most likely, since I do see that we have a source of barley nearby. But there are others to worry about, and here's the thing. You need to have 5 technologies in order to advance to the Bronze era. However, keep in mind, any technology you do not research is lost forever. You cannot circle back, which means certain resources, like let's say rope, if you did not pick up rope making, is going to be forbidden to you for at least a while. Now, the good news is most resources you will be able to get again later on in a different era. There'll be a new technology that brings it back. So for example, on rope, I can see that this is available at rope making, seafaring, stirrups, and architecture. But if I don't pick it up now, I have to wait until the Iron Age to have a chance at getting this again. That matters because rope is used to craft wheels and looms. So I'm no longer going to be able to touch these until the Iron Age. I also would not be able to build any of these wonders without rope, or train certain units, or use them to supply different buildings, etc., etc. So always be thinking about the different resources you think you're going to need, what is worth getting now, what can I safely skip based on what I think I'm going to do in the game and what my starting resources are, and when do I need to move on to the next era? Or do I stick around a little bit longer and pick up just a couple more precious technologies? As I said, I'm going to be going for grain storage. I see some barley nearby. Definitely worth it for me. By the way, over here, we did collect the cash and we got an early feast. That's extremely convenient for me, so I'm going to go ahead and spend that to boost up my growth and my food. We also could spend some perfume and tunics I just got for extra quality of life, but I don't think that's super important right now. I'd rather just start growing as quickly as I can. Notice, by the way, there are also some wild animals on some of these tiles. They do not attack you immediately. In fact, I don't think they attack you at all. I don't know why I'm saying immediately. But instead, think of these kind of like tile blockers. So as I said, every tile has a certain number of building slots. If there's a wild animal on them, you're not going to be able to build anything on that slot until you clear them out. So they're just kind of an annoyance, at least for now. The way to get rid of them is you send a military unit or a scout to go and perform a hunt. In this case, a wolf has only 1 hunt required, so that's 1 turn hunting. But something like, let's say, a tiger would take 3 turns to hunt. And also, the higher the danger value, the more damage your unit is going to take. So you can kill a unit, but then you'll have to take a little bit of time and just heal up. I'm not worried about this right now, which is why I'm ignoring it, but later on, this is going to be important. Okay, we just met a tribe down over here. So tribes are little independent peoples, and over time we will be able to get some relations built up with these guys through various different events, paying them some tribute or helping them out in some way. If they like you, you can get some freebies from them, population, tech, or various different goods and resources. If they don't like you, well, then there's a chance their warriors come and attack, and that can be a problem. Now, our city has already grown thanks to the early feast, which means we're going to be able to claim ourselves another technology, which means we're going to be able to claim ourselves another region. I really want to claim probably this region over here. It only has 3 building slots, but I can place down 2 farms here to get a lot of food plus a granary, and we are going to be rolling in food. That said, I also do need to keep my eye out for some extra lumber and some extra materials. That gives me quite a nice economic boost as well. Still, the grain means we are going to get an absolute ton of growth. For another project, we could get the farms early, but I'd rather wait until next turn. We could start working on getting, let's say, a scout. I wouldn't mind getting some extra exploration. Let's go to our workshop, by the way, because now we have some more crafting available. I can get myself some baskets for the city production, or I can get myself some tools to use to boost up crafting speed everywhere else. I'm going to go for the baskets, and I'm going to use... Well, actually, I'm getting one every 8 turns. I don't need to use materials to speed this up right now, because this thing lasts 10 turns, so as things are right now, once this is built up and I have enough amenity slots, I can just keep this rolling and it costs me nothing. Okay, that's great. If I had the tools, though, I could go over here to supplies and spend this to boost up my crafting speed by 25%. So... tools are useful, but for now, I'd rather get the CD production once I get a 3rd region. Grain storage is done. Excellent. I'm probably going to work on something like pottery next, just so I'll be able to make ceramic pots if I have the opportunity to spend some materials. Get extra crafting production by 50% is pretty substantial. In the city, let's get a farm. I want to get that barley going. We did find a copper deposit over here. That can be worth some early game materials. Later on, some resources we can forge into bronze. Also, we found some white-tailed deer. Good to get some furs or some food. Not both, though. I will spend some wealth to just go ahead and rush this, though. It's only going to cost me 54 gold. The faster I start producing that grain, the better. And then, do I want to go for another settler and start expanding already? Yes. I think I will use my food to go ahead and do things like that. Place down a 2nd city, start claiming some more territory. We're also especially good in river areas because of my bonus as Nefertiti. We get, let's see, extra food per turn if placed next to a river. Which, it's not like it's amazing or anything, but it's not bad. We also have an event. This will happen periodically, and you can spend some resources to get something else, or whatever it's going to be. In this case, I can get some jewelry and some pots. Sure, why not? We also just got ourselves a paragon. These are kind of like great people in the game. And we have a scientist, a pioneer, or an engineer that we can choose from. These guys serve as advisors in your government, and you can see the different benefits you will get depending on what office they hold. You also could instead use them to start making masterpieces, which are kind of like great works. We have a sculpture, or textiles, or literature, and this can get you a lot of prestige. The problem is it takes a very, very, very long time to make a masterpiece, so in the early game, it's probably not worth it. What I'd rather do is probably go for my scientist, get a domestic advisor, and greatly increase my science. So now we're up to 12 science per turn. Another event with a tribe, spend resources, boost up relations, get more prestige. Sure. And we can claim another territory. Really like to get myself a lot of timber and a lot of materials. That said... these 2 space tiles, I hate to waste this on getting some production buildings. So, the way this game works when you place down wonders is they take up an entire region, regardless of size. So, tiny regions like this one, I'd really rather save for placing down a wonder. Same with this up over here, if we could. There's not a lot of other great options. I guess we could pick this up just for the materials. Yeah, sure. This one's fine. We'll have to clear out that wolf later, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and pick up archery as my next technology. I don't know if we're going to get attacked early on. If you have the misfortune of running into someone like Shaka or Genghis Khan at the beginning of the game, that's almost a guarantee that you are going to be getting attacked very early on. Those are both very aggressive civs, so they get a lot of prestige by being mean to you. Oh, speaking of which, there's a nation right there. Who did we meet? The Cherokee. Wilma Mankiller. What a terrifying name. She's traditional, charitable, not aggressive. Okay, I feel reasonably okay with this. It would be nice to open up our borders so we can start getting some trade routes, which she declined. Well, okay. Well, at least we got our settler. The next thing I want to get is a granary for sure. Let's go ahead and place that here. Why? Because I'm going to be able to take my seeds and craft a grain store, which is a much better amenity than the feasts. 30 city food and city growth. Holy crud! Also makes it really easy to start setting up new cities once you settle them down. Alright, where am I going to go? Where do we have resources that are worth claiming? Anywhere? Maybe up over here. We could at least get a lot of deer, set up some hunting camps, get a lot of money, plus a lot of timber. And there are some rivers and stuff, so we could get a decent amount of food. I feel like this is kind of okay. Good enough, I suppose, though. Let's go ahead and settle our city right here. Sinai. And in this city, do we have any spare amenities? Yes, I've got myself a feast. Let's use it. And I'll go ahead and immediately place down a logging camp here, I guess, just because we can get a lot of extra harvest production for this, since it is a very high timber realm. We're going to need to clear out some space for things like farms and stuff later, though. All right, do we want to research anything else? I could go for fermenting since I have grapes, but I don't really feel like I need this for an amenity. Herbalism, I don't know of any herbs nearby, but getting an apothecary would be nice. Just because I could get things like some extra city knowledge and health. And also, certain buildings are going to be able to upgrade later on, and I assume it is cheaper to do so if you had their prerequisite. I've got enough time. We've got really good science. I'm going to grab herbalism, but then we'll move on. Let's actually consider building another workshop in our capital. I can start making some tools. Okay, so there's the herbal medicine. Let's start working on bronze working. Skip the other text. Can grab some territory here. Probably worth getting the white-tailed deer, to be honest. Yeah, let's plan on that. I should also start training up some military units. You never know if you're going to need them. All right, let's start by getting a spearman and then a couple of archers. We'll go ahead and queue those up. I might say, well, why do you need so many military units, and why those specifically? Military units and compositions are interesting in this game. If I look over here, this is our current list of forces. We have a couple of scouts. We also could have some reserves. When you train a unit, it does not automatically get placed somewhere. Instead, you will need to muster some units. Now, you could send them out just by themselves as a squad, and they're pretty weak, but you can move them around. It's easy enough. Or you could assign them into a battalion. For this, you need 3 units. But if you have 3 units, they all travel together as a stack and are a lot stronger. Better yet, you could use tactics and actually require certain types of units, like 1 melee and 2 ranged, in order to get a 10% strength bonus. And there are different kinds of tactics and larger assemblies that you'll be able to get as you get more technology. So, yeah, it is worth trying to train up a specific setup of units if you can. By the way, at this other workshop, let's go ahead and start crafting some rope, and I don't mind using a bit of wealth to speed this up for now. How much rope do I need, though? Let's just go ahead and say 10 for the moment, but in my experience, you need a lot of this. Ah, we have a goal now. Okay. So we have these periodically throughout your acts. This is basically a prestige challenge. If we can be the first in the world to build the Hanging Gardens, we get 150 more prestige. Sure. By the way, here's an example of our reserves. We have a spearman ready. He's doing nothing. Nothing at all until we have him in a squad. And by the way, we can actually see their speed. Okay, so my assumption that you can only move one at a time, definitely wrong. Certain units are going to be able to go a lot faster depending on what this is. I think certain civs, like maybe Genghis Khan, gets extra speed even on spearmans. Might be wrong on that. Another claim available. What do I want this time? There's horses over here. That could be useful. Sure, we'll grab this. I got more wild animals to deal with, but I'm training up military units. There's bronze working. Okay, so we have moved on to the next era. You can see we abandoned fermenting. I'll pick that up another time. But also now we have access to the wheel, masonry, sails, chariots, code of laws, ironworking, trading, leatherworking, weaving, and sacred rites. Trade doesn't seem too useful to me right now. Code of laws, on the other hand, would eventually be able to get me a new government form, the monarchy. Seems smart. Let's pick that up. I'm going to train up a swordsman instead of a spearman. We might as well. Let me go ahead and deploy the one spearman I've got on his own. This guy's going to go on animal killing duty. There we go. Now we have our reserves. Be aware, by the way, it takes a couple turns to muster your armies. And if an enemy is already sieging your city, you have nowhere to muster it, you will lose if you have no units. So don't get caught with your pants down. Oh, here's another thing, by the way, the line. If I had 2 melee units and a range unit, we could do this instead. Strength while fortifying. Oh, okay. Well, I prefer the wedge anyway. We'll go ahead and deploy, and this is just a bit stronger. Okay, we have our army. 37 strength on this guy. And clearing out these predators is nice. We're getting some furs and stuff in the process, as well as some early game food. I'm just going to go ahead and start hunting as many animals as I can with these military units. We might as well try to get them some experience and level up. Code of Laws is done. Okay, what else should we get? Weaving, masonry, the pyramids. Yeah, that's worth quite a lot of prosperity and some prestige. What are the other wonders that I could get, though? The Colossus? Yeah, that's a thing. Not what I'm looking for, though. Maybe it would be worth getting sacred rites so I could establish my own religion. Yes, I do think that is the case. Anyway, let's go ahead and change our government. So we were a chiefdom, which meant we had a city cap of 3. Now we can be a monarchy with a city cap of 4, plus we get some more security and prosperity in my new empire. And a policy. Do we want to have some wealth for every city I own? Do we want our palace to give us quality of life stats? I don't have a palace yet. Or do we need siege defense? I mean, this would be nice eventually, but for now, wealth is the only thing I benefit from. We also can now set tax rates. Low taxes give you some pretty nice bonuses. Medium taxes, just some extra money. High taxes obviously reduce your bonuses. For now, I'm fine with low. Now, we are capped on housing in this city, so if I want to continue growing, I need to get myself some dwellings. Sure. Definitely like to get some more cities settled at some point. From a standing perspective, by the way, we're doing really well. So, we're in no risk right now of falling behind. So that said, the AIs aren't doing too badly here. But we are playing well, like with our production chains, like it's a game of Anno, and all of a sudden, hey look, we're in first place. It's not so bad. Now, I have heard that the balance of this game is a little off, especially when it comes to military. I haven't verified this myself, but it sounds like being aggressive all the time seems to be the best way to play the game, which is maybe a little bit less fun. I've also heard that the maximum difficulty for this game is ludicrously hard. Again, can't confirm, haven't tried. Another Paragon. Do we want a writer, a pioneer, or a strategist? Force strength, XP to all newly trained forces. We already have a domestic advisor, so that's kind of out. Knowledge in all cities from a chief advisor seems just straight up better than domestic advisor. City growth, culture. Culture improvements provide research. Tempting. I guess I'll take Homer for now as a chief advisor for knowledge. I don't have any cultural improvements. We might swap you around later. This guy can do a lot of masterpieces. Wow. Okay, religion, sacred rites. Perfect. We need to place an altar. Note, by the way, if we wanted to go for a wonder like the pyramids, we would need tools and rope and pots. See, this is why I have to unlock all of those things early on. For the sake of this video, sure, let's go ahead and work towards the pyramids. We are Egypt after all. Also, this is going to unlock the palace, which is a special building that I kind of want. It's going to boost my city cap, my taxes, and so on. Let's go ahead and place down an altar so I can start getting a religion. Okay, there's masonry, so we'll want to get that pyramid. Again, 10, 10, and 15, so I need to get some pots up and running. Okay, and then 10 and 10. Okay, actually, it'd be a little bit easier to get the palace, believe it or not. Huh. Usually, I get a goal to do that, so I'm sort of surprised we haven't had one yet. It's fine, I guess. Let's go ahead and research the wheel. I just realized I've never been crafting any of these pots. I could have at least had it on default this whole time. Gosh dang it. All right, well, I need like 25 of these in total, so we'll go ahead and set this for now. I've got the materials to go around, no biggie. Could also spend my wealth to speed it up even further. And 1 every 2 turns is pretty quick. I'll do it. Oh, another nation has been met. Hello, where'd you come from? The Inca. Would you perhaps like to have... We have open borders by default. I would like to propose a trade route, but I don't actually know where they are. Well, they're probably down somewhere in this direction. Let's find them. Also, let's found our religion. Now, founding a religion is actually pretty darn fun, I think, in this game. So what do we want here? Blah, 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 blah. Hellenism, Assisi, Ramuva, Atenism, Muism, Voodoo. How about a Satra? Seems all right. Cool. So it's going to found itself. Once done, though, we'll be able to start unlocking some special abilities for our religion. And there's our first religious verse. Okay. The reason this is really cool is you get to choose from one of 3 bonuses. It's different for everyone, and there are a lot of different bonuses in this game. So unlike a game like Civ, where you're rushing to have the same dang bonuses and everyone wants to have, like, Feed the World, no, it's different in Era. You actually do have some randomization, and they can be pretty darn good. I mean, extra harvest production is okay. Yeah, sure, that could be nice. 10% building improvements toward culture, though. I mean, sure. I wouldn't say any of these are, like, my favorite choices, but they're okay. And as we continue expanding our religion and we get more and more followers, we're going to get more and more religious verses. And there can be a lot of them. Also, we are now able to adopt a theocracy instead of a monarchy, if I so desire. I don't think I need the extra religion spread distance, so we're going to pass on that. Since we now have trading friends, I might as well get the trading technology. Bakery, trading post, trade goods. Yeah, it's a thing. Extra prosperity from amenities. Probably makes sense. I don't know. Alright. Oh, there's another religious verse. What's the next one going to be? Battle hymn, uncommon breakthrough, research agreements get extra research. Build production towards triumphs. We have getting a lot of prestige. If we can be friends with people, this could be very valuable. I've had some truly ludicrous bonuses and verses, though, in the past. Things that, like, just boost up your production to extremely high measures or stuff like that. So far, I'm feeling like these are a little lackluster, but it's all about luck. One of our units did level up down over here. I actually don't know if there's a particular benefit to leveling up. Can we see if... No, it doesn't look like there is. Maybe it just gets a little bit stronger, but this guy's too weak. One thing I don't like about the military units in this game is that you can't disband them and send them back into reserves. To me, that would have made a lot of sense. If you could disband them, reorganize your forces, remuster them, that's worthwhile. But once they're deployed, they kind of just have to keep going until they die. Which, I don't know, it feels like a slightly missed opportunity there. Oh, looks like the Inca are actually way over here. I completely misjudged where they were. So they're neighbors with the Cherokee. Huh. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem. The Cherokee have embraced my religion, by the way. Neat. You know something I didn't do? We should probably try trading now. We already have a trade route, right? Let's view that trade agreement. What do you have? So I've got 4 merchants. I should be able to import some stuff from these guys, which would make my life easier, obviously. We could import some ceramic pots, some... Whoops, that's not what I meant to hit. Metal and some rope. We'll get a few every turn, basically. It's not bad. I'll just spend 3 of the merchants for now. I'm still holding out hope that eventually the Cherokee will be nice to me. Nope, the Cherokee are mean. Well, let's move on to ironworking. Time for the next era. We also have another settler. Where do I want to go? Probably over here. There's tea, copper, rivers for food. It's not a bad spot. And there's ironworking. All right, we've moved on to the next era. I guess we'll pick up coinage as our next tech. Act transition. Okay, you have enough prestige to move on to the next act. The next act begins when 3 players have advanced. Okay, so yeah, pretty soon then, it sounds like some people are going to start getting eliminated from the game. But we are pulling away. Plus we have our 3rd city. And you can see some of these buildings are starting to get more complicated too. Bakeries, barracks, blacksmiths. Yep, all useful things. The docks are great, by the way. 10% city production. Not bad. Get another paragon. We haven't got a cultural advisor yet. Establish relationship with other nations. Build production of religious improvements. Yes. I'm good with religion. That's one of Nefertiti's things. So it makes sense to place that down where I can. Like, look how many buildings there are now. Like, there's just so much that we can construct in this game. And we're only in the 3rd age. Well, I'll tell you what. I wanted to get things at the pyramids, but since this is now taking forever, let's just go ahead and build Stonehenge instead. I also forgot that as your cities grow, you can assign experts. These are some extra pops I'm assigning to some of these places to boost up things like craft production by 150% in some of these locations. And here comes our first wonder. Done. All right, we've got our Stonehenge. That means we have a lot more prestige all of a sudden, and I am way further ahead than all the other AIs. Good. All right, so I think at this point, this kind of gets the point across of how Era really works. Oh, we can actually see here, Triumph completed. There it is. That looks pretty. And I like that you can see all the people running around, by the way. There's a lot to like about the graphics of the game. In some areas, I feel like it could use a little bit more polish and some touch-ups, especially things like character art and such like that. But, you know, part of it's pretty darn cool to look at the very least. And yeah, I think that this production chain stuff, some people are really going to dig it. Like a 4X style game with the production intricacies of Anno. Yeah, that's going to appeal to a very niche audience. But is this going to be the so-called Civ killer that a lot of people keep saying every time a new 4X game comes out? No, and I don't think this game is even trying to be. In fact, a lot of the developers who worked on this game are actually former developers from Civ 5. Like, they're really not trying, as far as I can tell, to be a Civ killer. That's just not their thing. But they're trying to add something new to the 4X genre. And I think that this game is pretty darn interesting. If you guys would like to learn more, I'll include a link in the description down below. And also, if you guys would like to see a full series on this in the future, I could certainly be persuaded. But for right now, I think we are kind of running away with things. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you found this video helpful in some way. If so, I'd ask that you hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure that notify bell. And I will see you guys next time.